I wasn't going to bring this up, but I decided to do it anyway. Now, at first glance, it might seem like this has nothing to do with mortgages and help you ramp up your business. But I tell you, this may be one of the most or the most important message that I've ever sent to you. So here's the thing, making sure everything at home is good is critical to how we do things at work. I mean, it all overflows to each other, home and work. And I want you to like people think, well, I'll leave home at home and work at work. It doesn't work that way. Think of a jar of water and then just putting even just one drop of red dye in it. The red dye doesn't just sit there on one side of the jar. In short order, the entire jar is red. And this is the same for, work and home for us. It all overflows into each other. And so what happened was I had a life-changing conversation about 10 years ago. And I was sitting on the front porch visiting with my 30 something year old niece. And out of the blue, she said, Uncle Carl, you know why so many people end up in divorce? Or let's call it separating from your mate or life partner, right? And my my first thought was, what is somebody that just got married a year or two ago? What are they going to have to say to me about how to make relationships work? I mean, what the heck does she know? She's in my mind, just a kid, kind of thing. Because she was my kid niece, right? You have to understand the concept of this. But anyway, but then she shared with me something that has been an absolute game changer for me. She said, Uncle Carl, the reason why so many marriages, and you could insert in romantic living together relationships, right? The reason why so many romantic marriages break up is because they confuse marriage issues with roommate issues. They confuse marriage issues with roommate issues. You see, couples really have two different relationships going on at the same time. They are married or, a romantic relationship, a romantic or married couple, and they are also roommates, right? So they're married and also they have a roommate relationship. And she went on to explain that, you see, roommate issues are things like leaving the cap off the toothpaste, using the last bit of coffee without picking more up at the store, leaving the car empty of gas, leaving the milk out, having the TV turned up too loud while the other's trying to rest or wants quiet time, right? Those are roommate issues. And then she said marriage issues really boils down to three things: beating, cheating, and or addictions or alcohol. Well, it's certainly a big addiction. And she explained that we have to be very careful that we're having an argument with our mate, not to elevate roommate issues with marriage issues. And remember, marriage issues really is three things: beating, cheating, or addictions. Everything else is a roommate issue. So roommate issues are just part of living with somebody, and not to be elevated to, I can't live with you because you didn't put the milk back in the refrigerator, right? And so these days I remind myself to keep things in perspective, and that if I'm feeling a little bit of strife in my marriage, in my case with the lovely Mrs. White, like, it's extremely likely, in fact, in my case, it's been 100% likely that it's really a roommate issue, not worth getting upset about. And when I first started thinking about this about 10 years ago, after she brought this to me, I'm telling you, this was a game changer. Don't elevate a roommate issue into a marriage issue, right? And I tell you, once I did that, and once I understood we have two relationships, we have a marriage relationship and a roommate relationship. Now, I'm not saying not to be aware of the roommate issues, right? I'm not saying be a bad roommate, because you want to be a good roommate to your mate, but understand that roommate issues are not marriage issues. They're just roommate issues, and still need to be dealt with, but dealt with at a different level than marriage issues. And I tell you, once I figured out the difference between those two things, that was a very profound thing for me. And I can tell you, man, things have been really, really, really good at home. And here's a funny thing: with things really, really, really good at home, things are pretty darn good at work also. And I find my work conversations go way better. And I feel more confident about putting my team together and asking for more business and getting more sales and loans when I have the marriage relationship intact, like solid as rock. Now, do we still have roommate issues? Well, okay, of course, right? Uh, in all likelihood, I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm probably, I'm more of a challenge as a roommate perhaps than what she is, and she might disagree and say it the other way around. But I think I'm more of a challenge. But I guess all this really boils down to is don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. And man, you want to make sure that you got things at home intact because if things are not intact at home, they're not going to be intact at work, right? It's just impossible. And that you got to get that part straightened out first. And understanding that you have a you have a roommate relationship and a marriage relationship, and don't confuse those two. Um, Man, that's just been a real game changer for me. So, hey, and I realize some of you might be listening to this today are single and enjoying life that way. Awesome, right? But perhaps you know someone that could benefit from this bit of wisdom that for me was truly life changing, like a life changing awareness. Perhaps you know somebody that could benefit from that. And if so, please pass it on. And I know this isn't my typical message, go close more loans with less stress, but I guess it kind of is. This will majorly decrease stress. I know it did for me. And, but I sincerely debated about sharing this because I didn't want to offend anybody or perhaps seem uncool. And I know some people are dealing with marriage issues, and I'm not, watering that down. I get that. But most of us deal with roommate issues. So, anyway, hey, thanks for letting me be part of your awesome journey. And go and be a good roommate too, by the way. I want to make sure you got that part. Be a good roommate. But yeah, get the stuff at home straightened out, and you'll find it so much easier to feel worthy. And then you have a cheerleader at home cheering you on, pushing you through those hard times. When you have a difficult day at work, you come home, you're still the queen of the castle, you're still the king of the castle, and you get treated as such because you treat your mate as the other also. So yeah, having things good at home, it's really, really, really important for our work. So that's it. That's our message for the day. Hey, again, think somebody can benefit from this message and learning the difference between roommate issues and marriage issues. Please feel free to forward this to your mortgage, your loan officer friends. I'm sure they'll thank you for it, and I certainly will thank you for forwarding it to them also. Thanks for all those great reviews. I appreciate that. And we'll see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks again, everybody. Bye bye.